When we think about the big questions of life, I'd like to suggest that whether or not God exists is the biggest question there is. And the fact that you're watching this video leads me to think that you at least feel the question deserves some type of discussion. You may think, however, that while the existence of God it's worth philosophizing about, it's not real practically important. So what if there is some kind of God out there? Would that really change the way humans live? Well, several years ago, in 2009, an atheistic group in London ran advertisements on buses, and they read, "There's probably no God, so stop worrying and enjoy your life." You may agree with this idea. And you may believe that even if there is a slight chance that God exists, it's a better way to live to assume He doesn't, and just enjoy your time here. I'd like to explain why I believe the idea of God to be an extremely important idea, in fact, the most important. You see, if there is no God and we humans have evolved from mere matter over billions of years, then that means our physical lives on this planet are all we will ever have. Our lives began when we were conceived, and they'll end completely when our bodies die, and that will be the ultimate end of us. We won't live on in any capacity once our bodies die. If such is the case, then there's no need to plan for an afterlife, since there's no such thing. On the other hand, if there is a God, and if you don't mind, I'm going to be using that term to mean the God of the Bible, and I'm not asking you at this point to believe in the God of the Bible. I'm simply saying that if the God of the Bible does exist, then certain things about human life change. So if God exists, then that would imply several things. First, it would mean that there is a spiritual element to the world and to human life. It would mean that this physical life, it's not all there is. And human life is something more than just the physical body. And it would mean that something about you and me will still be alive after our physical bodies are dead. Historically, the word soul has been used to describe this spiritual aspect. And again, let me say, I'm not asking you to believe in a soul here. I'm just saying that if God exists and He did create humans, then it follows that humans would have a spiritual aspect to their nature. And if we have souls that survive after our physical bodies are dead, then what happens to our souls would be the most important aspect of our lives. This reasoning is based on the fact that we often put ourselves through some type of short-term pain or sacrifice to ensure our long-term well-being. We get painful shots that only last a few seconds to ensure immunity from disease that could last decades. Jesus once stated, "What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?" There again, I'm not asking that you believe in Jesus at this point. And I'm quoting this verse not to prove anything other than the fact that if God, the God of the Bible, does exist, then humans have a soul, and a person's soul is the most important aspect of human life. Along these lines, I'd like to draw your attention to some statements made by a man named Penn Jillette. He's a well-known atheist, and he stars in a show on HBO called Penn and Teller. And he has one YouTube post where he tells a story about a man that he met at a show. This man approached him in a kind way and gave him a Bible. And the Bible had a brief note in the front and several phone numbers that Penn could use to get in contact with the man. And Penn explained that he thought the man knew he was an atheist and he was trying to proselytize or convert him away from atheism. And about the man, Penn Jillette said he was really kind and nice and sane and looked me straight in the eye and gave me this Bible. He was polite and honest and sane and cared enough about me to proselytize. He went on to say, and I've always said, I don't respect people who don't proselytize. If you believe that there is a heaven and hell, and people could be going to hell or not getting eternal life, and you think that it's not really worth telling them this because it would make it socially awkward, how much do you have to hate a person? How much do you have to hate someone not to proselytize? How much do you have to hate somebody to believe that everlasting life is possible and not tell them that? Those were the words that Penn Jillette use to express his thoughts. So, I do believe we have a soul, and I believe that how we live this life will determine what happens to our soul at our death. As Penn Jillette recognized, it would be unloving, even hateful, for me not to attempt to convince you of these things. I sincerely believe that everlasting life after our physical death is possible to everyone. And because of that belief, I think it's worth taking the time to engage you in this discussion about the importance of God and the importance of your immortal soul.